Hey guys, how are you? It seems like we have a little bit more news today regarding the Kenobi show. In particular, my boy Hayden Christensen. Now, we're all really excited to get our guy back in Star Wars, and I hope this time he sees the amount of love that everyone's going to pour his way when he gets put back into the suit. Now, something I want to go over besides these new press photos of them all getting together, which is pretty cool to see. As something I noticed was that Hayden is looking a little different this time around. He's looking much more jacked, much more beefy. And we can see that when he walks in. Just look at like the sheer difference, because he was always pretty like a tall, slender guy. But he's actually looking pretty beefed up now. Check out his arms, shoulders, and there's a reason for that. Dude, most of my work on this project was preparation. The physical preparation was intense. I had to put on a decent amount of weight and size to fill up the suit. Okay, so what does this tell me? This tells me that it isn't just some random person in the suit the entire show. Obviously, there's going to be like stunt doubles and people in the suit who are going to be acting and doing a lot of choreography here or there, let's say. It's not going to be Hayden 100% of the time. But this tells me that he does need to be in the suit where we will most likely see his face in more than just one shot, because there's no point in like bulking up for that amount of time and putting that much effort into your body to enter a suit where you're just going to have like you're just going to be stationary and your face is going to be in it for 2 seconds. So this tells me there's going to be some scenes where he's probably maskless, either where he's fighting Kenobi and maybe he's beaten up pretty bad or something like that. And he's kind of, if you've ever seen the concept art for my fan film for the ending, then you might get an idea of like where I'm thinking this could go. So I feel like him getting jacked to put on the suit is a really good thing, because it doesn't just mean that we're going to see Anakin in the Clone Wars flashbacks or things like that. It means that we could definitely see him full on, like scenes of him just rummaging around or beating people up or fighting people or even just reflecting and walking around in his suit as Darth Vader. And I think this is single-handedly one of the most important things that this show can do, is really drive home the fact that Anakin Skywalker from the prequels is Darth Vader, because I know a lot of people had some issues with that kind of connecting the two. And then once the ending of Revenge of the Sith hit theaters, everyone was much more inclined to believe that this is Anakin in the suit, because before it was always, you had this preconceived notion that Vader is this towering, you don't really know who he is, and then how is it this young boy? And then when he gets put into it after he burns and everything, then you kind of like link everything together. And I think this show is going to do a really good job, I hope of that, where we get to see him really intertwined in that suit, you know, burnt and bald and all that stuff. And we get to see his face, because for us, it'll be really easy to then link together, okay, in A New Hope, this is still Anakin. This is still the sad, you know, a depressing story of Anakin Skywalker, the fall of the Jedi Knight, the Chosen One. And then in Revenge of the Sith, we'll be able to bridge together that he really is going in that suit. Because that's something that was always, because, you know, it's like the chicken came before the egg kind of thing. It's like we saw Darth Vader before we saw Hayden. And so it was hard for a lot of people, I remember at that time, to kind of put it together until Revenge of the Sith came out. And I think the show is going to do that really, really well. So a few things that I want to see. I want to see Vader in the suit, mask off, with, of course, Hayden's face, and I want to see him reflecting on his life, his past life, perhaps, maybe thinking of things, or maybe looking at a hologram of Padme, maybe just for like a split second, maybe like a moment where he's just remembering certain things, because he did this in the book Dark Lord, The Rise of Darth Vader, where he was thinking of different scenarios, like, for example, there was one scenario where he was thinking, like, what would have happened if I had gone with Padme? If Obi-Wan hadn't shown up, I probably would have left with Padme, he was thinking, on Mustafar. And he blames Obi-Wan for a lot of different things. So I would love to see more of that inner monologue of what's going on with Vader, as well as just the overall process of getting in the suit. I think that's something that's really fascinating, because a lot of people just think, okay, he just puts on the suit, but it's like, it's a whole process, man. Like he needs droids to put him together. He's got to be hanging up for him to be put together and kind of like sealed up in this ironclad tomb that he spends the rest of his days in until, of course, you know, he turns back to the light side as Anakin Skywalker and, you know, then dies. But I think the possibilities for what we could see in Kenobi will only embellish Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope, in the sense that we can really connect these two characters into one, because, you know, one we see his face and the other one we don't, and we don't even hear his voice really the same way. Deborah Chow goes on to say that this is not Anakin from Revenge of the Sith, this is not Vader from A New Hope, this is a 10-year gap on either side, so the character is different at this moment. And that's something I have always been trying to drive home, that this isn't the same Vader from Revenge of the Sith or A New Hope. This is a very in-between Vader of those two characters. So I almost feel like this is a Vader that's kind of conflicted, half as much as he would be in A New Hope, and half as less as much as he would be, if that makes sense, as Revenge of the Sith. So I think we could see a lot of crossover between Anakin and Vader, not just in flashbacks, but in terms of how he perceives his life now, how he perceives himself, perhaps reflecting and seeing who he is in this moment compared to what once was, or what could have been had he made some different choices. And I think even getting some fan fictions in his own head, such as like, what if Obi-Wan didn't show up like what he did in that in the Legends book, Dark Lord: The Rise of Darth Vader, I think would be pretty cool, because fan fictions is like, they're fun, but having them done as the character, I remember when Lucasfilm made one fan fiction in a magazine, it was like Clone Wars something, I can't remember, but I made a video on it. It was, what if Anakin stayed with the Sun, or joined the Sun, or something like that, or stayed on Mortis, and he would have become so insanely powerful, and then went to fight Yoda and Obi-Wan and everything, and it was cool. I love when they do kind of canon fan fiction. So I would love it if Vader was reflecting on his life, or maybe going through different scenarios of like, what if I had killed Sidious, and we get like maybe even some visions of him fighting Sidious as Anakin Skywalker. I mean, like, the possibilities really are endless of the things we could see. Maybe him, there were parts in comics, in the Dark Horse comics, where he was being strung up by the droids so he could be put together and like scrubbed of his dead flesh, and he was like going to his happy place. He was in so much pain that he was literally just going into this dream moment where it was him and Padme and their children, and he was on Coruscant, and he was a Jedi. And I feel like that's something that, like, we could see a lot of this kind of stuff, and it would show the parallels and the stark contrast between Vader and Anakin, you know, what he is now versus what he was, or what could have been had he made some different choices, and also showing that he is very, very regretful of what has become of his life, and he's kind of just stuck in this, and he can't really get out of it because it's all he has. And George Lucas always said that this is the reason he's staying with Sidious is because this is all he knows, this is all he has now, and like, what is he going to do? He's not going to go, you know, work at a burger shop or something. Like, he's a Sith Lord, this is all he has. So Sidious is the only one who will accept him now. So I think there is so much potential for this show, for the characters, if they really tap into a lot of these different things. I'm very excited for it. I'm really hopeful. This is a really important show for me, and I know it is for a lot of you guys too. So we're going to be in it together, we're going to watch it together, and, you know, go through it all at the same time. So hype. All right, well, hope you guys have a great day. Love you all. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it. Check me out on Spotify and add me on Instagram. See you guys in the next video. Until then, remember, the Force will be with you.